Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jerry Avila from Capital Mortgage Services and the VC Mortgage Pros. Just wanted to kind of give a bit of a breakdown of what happened prior to this video. Unfortunately, I guess I must have clicked the button to not record, or the record button again after I had already started the recording. So I missed the entire beginning of our conversation with Jasmine and answering a few of the questions. So I just wanted to break down what some of those topics were. We went over the conversation as to what the marketplace is doing right now, some of the stuff that's going on with Ventura County's, or actually I should say California's Realtor Association. We were discussing initially the services that are currently having difficulties with going out and actually doing what a normal transaction would require, which is inspections and things of that sort. So I'm just kind of giving you a quick little preface of what that was, and giving you guys some of the access to some of the information as well on this separate post that I'm putting together here. So feel free to watch the entirety of this video. It's going to continue on through this little cut that I did, and then you'll be able to see some of the links to some of the access to that information, as well as the VCCAR notice that was put, so that way you guys all have information as to what it is that we're allowed and what we're not allowed to do, because as it is right now, consumers need to know exactly what they're able to do. Is if you're in a contract for a purchase of a property, I'm sure you want to know the details, right? So we want to be able to provide you some clarity, and hopefully we do that through this current Zoom meeting. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
Filing. So title's still working and escrow's still working, and everybody's still working to get your properties in and out of escrow to be able to close escrow in the timely manner. However, some things are still delayed. So it's not to say you can't close or you will not be able to close while you're in escrow. It's just that things are taking a little bit longer because people are trying to really figure out how to be able to manage to, a lot of us have kids, so some people have to try to manage moving all of their work to home and still being able to just kind of utilize your home to be able to get the transaction closed.
Right. So right now for new business with the changes with VCCAR, I mean, your understanding with your broker and his conversation with you guys, what's kind of the pressing matter that everyone's talking about? Because I know that I have some agents telling me that their broker's telling them completely, no, you can't do anything at all. Some of them are saying, no, yeah, we can. You just cannot be forward facing with the client. Everything has to be done electronically. So yeah, a lot of people are going to have a hard time, I would say, going into that conversation. But at the same time, it's not, how can I say this? It's not going to be the end all be all for how we do a transaction. We want to be able to still provide value. We still want to be able to get our families into homes, but if we're being limited from being able to even go out and show them, then there's got to be an alternative way to be able to generate that and complete that process, to at least get them into contract and get them into an actual purchase. And moving forward, how are we going to go ahead and satisfy that need for the client? Because otherwise, clients are going to look at the situation, those that are all ready to buy now and that we're not able to move forward with because of the situation. Some of them might walk away. I mean, it's what happens. Clients go cold, they lose interest, and all of a sudden they're not looking for property. It might be 6 months, 9 months later down the road before they're even interested in looking again. So we have to be cautious and kind of do things in a way that we have to be, careful with how we proceed. But at the same time, we also want to be taking advantage of the situation right now, because I mean, if this whole thing stabilizes and the markets, the rate market goes south, and we're now looking at worse rates, there's going to be less people interested in purchasing homes. But when they had the opportunity, they didn't move forward because either a broker didn't allow them to be able to do business, or whether it be they themselves as realtors weren't comfortable moving forward under the current environment that we're in. Now, I understand there's people that are getting sick, but there's ways of doing things electronically. I mean, Zillow doesn't show you a property. When you go on Zillow and people are using these iBuyer platforms, they're not seeing the property firsthand initially. Sometimes they don't even get to see it at all. So they're buying from another state and coming into California, and they don't even see it until they go do either their final walkthrough or their home inspections, because they're satisfied with the images.
So our broker, actually, he didn't limit in the beginning. It was, everybody still be cautious. You have to still practice social distancing. But this morning, the California Association of Realtors did advise, we're not exempt from the everyday essential business, but they're saying we cannot do things face to face. So you and I cannot meet. My clients and I cannot meet face to face. However, we can still do chat, much like we're doing right now. And there is DocuSign. So if you did like a property, maybe you had seen it previously, or you'd like to do a virtual tour, just like what we just did, then you still have the option of signing any and all documents via DocuSign. So you're not physically present, just as long as you explain to your clients everything that is going on in the process.
Right. I think the biggest thing on that is just setting the right expectation. Expecting to see a 30-day close is probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be 45, 60 days, because of what the market is allowing at this point, just because with all the restrictions. So yeah, I agree with you 100% on that part.
So yeah, we're not restricted in what we're restricted in some of the things that we can do face to face, but we are not restricted and say you cannot do business.
Right.
So the real estate industry is still moving. Transactions are still closing, and there are a lot of facilities, escrow companies that are still open, working from home, and allowing you to be able to close your transactions during this period.
Right.
And everything is pretty much up to the discretion of that person. I know there are some realtors that are not. They're kind of taking this time to slow down a little bit. I have 4 children, so I took this whole week to kind of take a step back. Not that I wasn't available, I was always available. However, my priorities shifted a little bit, where I have to be able to say, okay, you know what? For me, my family comes first at this point. Making sure that my kids are safe and having them adjust, because it's not just an adjustment for myself. This is an adjustment for everybody. Everybody's being affected. Children,
right.
Grandparents, parents, everybody's trying to figure out what's the next step.
Right.
But for myself, and a lot of other people, I'm sure, they kind of had to take a step back and say, okay, let me take care of my children first. Let me make sure everything's okay. Let me get their school situation going, and then, kind of regroup a little bit and figure out, can we still do business in this time, or how can we?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, when we're talking about these circumstances, obviously it's going to affect multiple businesses in our industry. I mean, as it is, we see, we have home inspectors that are going to be affected. We're going to see notaries that are going to be affected. Some of them are doing it on their own. Some of the notaries that I've spoken to, they're like, yeah, I'm not doing recording. I mean, I'm not doing any notaries right now.
Right.
While I have others that are telling me, hey, if you need me, I'm ready. So it just depends on the circumstances. I mean, I understand it's a virus. We want to be cautious. I mean, there's protective wear that you can wear. You can put on masks, you can do gloves, you can use hand sanitizer, wash your hands. I mean, there's ways to protect yourself. I mean, even when you're meeting with people. So just don't be touching your face when you're meeting with them, and you might be all right. I mean, if you see that a client is coughing, then obviously at that point, then yeah, you cannot be in the same room. You have to get out, and you have to do what you have to do. But under the circumstances, I know that a lot of people are doing in other states. They're using e-notaries. So they're doing everything just like we're doing on a Zoom meeting now. They record the Zoom meeting as they're presenting each and every document. The client is signing each and every document, whether either through DocMagic or another DocuSign type system, and they're able to get their jobs done. Here in California, we're not there. We're not doing that yet. Can we hope that we eventually take that step? Yes. Now, will it happen? Who knows? But
hopefully, because we do have the safer at home, where we really aren't allowed to go out for anything other than what are essential needs. I can't, and it's just changed so rapidly, because a couple of days ago, you were still okay to visit the dentist, and now you cannot go to the dentist. unless it's an emergency. So as long as we all just kind of still try to do work, however, keeping in mind safety first and safety matters, and we're all trying to do our part. So there's still ways around it. Luckily, we live in an era where everything you can do digitally and virtually, and you can still do things in this business.
Right.
But then still cautious.
Exactly.
You're
Yeah, you use safety first. I mean, from our conversation that we've been having today, it kind of mimics a lot of what I've been repeating to clients throughout this entire week. It's, you know, we're still moving forward. I mean, our job is still open. We're just working from home. That's the only difference. The other topic of conversation that I did want to touch on is, you and I have talked about this a lot already. But when we're talking about people that are currently homeowners and how they're being affected, you know, yeah, they're being affected because simply we're looking at the scenario as a you might lose your job, you might lose hours, you might lose pay, you might be going on unemployment, and if that's the case, obviously that's going to affect how much money is flowing in and how much you actually have to allow flow out. You know, primordial things come first, which is food and housing, right? So when we have this type of scenario happen, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to prioritize your cell phone bill? Are you going to prioritize your internet over food and water and your housing? So I want to get your take on that, and then I'll kind of just throw out a few things that people are doing right now, or some of the companies that are doing to try to alleviate that.
right. So the good thing is that Southern California Edison, as well as I use both of them, both Spectrum and Southern California Edison, as well as the gas company, and they're not shutting anything off at the moment. So they're, as far as utilities go, the companies, which is so nice that they're not going to shut it off for non-payment. So let's say you do get to a situation where, hey, you know what, I cannot make my payments. I need to feed my children and myself before I do anything else. And that's very much what a lot of people are facing. A lot of people in California and around the nation and around the world really are facing the decision to, what am I going to do? Where are my priorities? I need to eat, I need to feed my children, and I need to keep a roof over their head. Right now with California, and I'm not sure about other states, but I know that you cannot get evicted for non-payment. So your landlord cannot evict you in California for not paying your rent if you were directly or indirectly affected by the coronavirus.
Right.
I know that some banks are as well. They're kind of, and I'll let you touch a little bit about this because that's more your expertise. But I did read somewhere where banks were actually not forgiving the month, but they were working something out where as long as you call your bank, they're working with you too in this situation, in this time where if something happens and you cannot work, then what exactly?
Yeah, so that conversation is regarding the forbearances, right? That was something that I touched on I believe it was Monday or Tuesday. And so forbearances essentially are going to be there in place to kind of help alleviate the pressures of having to make the mortgage payment now. Although that's if you're really being affected for 1 month, 2 months,
right,
max 3, where you're expected to be able to pick that back up afterwards and then catch the payments up essentially on a payment plan. So this might be something that takes 6 months to a year to recover from, but you're doing it month to month. And my understanding is a lot of the banks are actually going to be working towards potentially just limiting the impact. So eliminating the credit reporting that's going out for those reasons, and essentially keeping you from, if need be, doing a refinance if you so qualify because of loss of income or whatnot, to be able to do those type of things. So there's the forbearances, there's the talk of modifications again that I'm hearing. And there's the whole idea of us being able to share what us as an industry can do to alleviate some of the stresses.
Right.
Now, one of the major things that I came across was reaching out to to your lending institution directly. You want to do that first and foremost. Once that has happened, then you're good to go for the most part. But let's say you have not been able to get any resolution through your servicer, the bank that holds your note, that actually does your servicing on your loan. You want to call them. You want to get them involved. You want to make sure that
you want to be proactive, right?
Yes,
you want to
completely.
be proactive in the situation, right?
Right. Not wait till it hits the fan to act. You want to do it prior. You want to be proactive. You want to make sure that you're reaching out to the right people. And if your bank is not doing anything, then you go directly to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The area that I've seen a huge impact on right now is the non-QM world, which is alternate doc loans. I mean, I have a few clients of mine that have used that type of product to be able to get their homes. I had two right now that were going through a refinance, and they just dropped. They are closing, not funding any of those loans.
I was actually going to ask you, because I have some clients that are already pre-approved, and we kind of had to take a little step back and say, okay, well, how comfortable are you? You know, do you want to do virtual tours? Or because they're very eager to get into a home. One of them is pregnant. She's 5.5 months pregnant, and she's like, I needed a home like yesterday. So I have a question. So let's say you have somebody who's interested in purchasing a home in a month or 2 or 3. And I know that things haven't really been affected for that long, but what do you see happening in 3 months' time, where there are some people that are very well qualified right now, but because of the coronavirus, their job kind of had to lay them off for the time being, and they don't have that income? Because I know that when you go to get pre-qualified, you need 2 months of your statements, and if you don't have that income coming in, you don't have your check stubs. How do you see that affecting people getting pre-qualified in 3 or 4 months from now?
Yeah, so that was actually one of the conversations that I was having with some of my other lending partners as well, even with my team. It's like there's going to be things that are going to be done. I mean, right now the GSEs that handle all the loans for so GSE, before I go any further, GSE is a government-sponsored entity, and those are the banks that are essentially funding these loans for FHA, USDA. So I mean, you're talking about these type of loan products that are now being impacted by what's going on, and ultimately they have to rework or reword their qualifying restrictions and options. So once that happens, we'll have a little bit more guidance as to moving forward. But as of right now, it's very possible that we're just going to move forward with what we have. And there is that potential where if they've lost their employment, you know, it depends on what the these particular banks are going to do in regards to adding any overlays to their to their programs as to what we can do moving forward. I know that a lot of times, many of the people that I personally know that we're looking at purchasing a home right now, like I was saying earlier, one of my clients is literally telling me, I don't know what to do. He's like, I just accepted an offer on my house. I got to go look at property, and I'm just being told now by my agent that I can't go look at it. And I had to tell him, I'm sorry.
Let me jump in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
California Association of Realtors did also release a new form, because everybody's adapting, right? We're all trying to adapt to what's going on. So there is a new form called the Coronavirus Addendum, where in the event that something were to occur during the escrow period, like let's say you have a buyer, and you as a buyer, you're moving forward, you've already done your inspections, and you removed your contingencies, and you removed your loan contingency. But if something were to happen where the loan can't fund for whatever reason, then you are protected, and you will be able to receive your earnest money deposit back. So this form also allows for, during your escrow period, it does also allow for you to extend it another 30 days. So that way it gives buyers and sellers, it really protects both parties in the event that something were to happen unforeseen to us, because we don't know what's going to happen. We can't say for sure what's going to happen in another 30 days. But there is a form out there that does protect buyers and sellers currently in escrow or entering escrow. And if you are working with a realtor, then you might want to ask your realtor about that form and make sure that you do have that coronavirus addendum in place in your transaction at the moment, so that way you're protected as a buyer and you're protected as a seller as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, what's been your view of what's essentially how or if I can even go that far to say, like, what is Remax doing right now in regards to that particular conversation? Like, have they given you guys any direction from what was released over the last 24 hours from
This was actually released this morning. Our broker, he has been continuously updating us, sending videos through email for, maybe 3 or 4 a week. So every time something comes up, he's always giving us an update, what we can't do. Our offices are open. They're closed to the public. However, you can still come in and utilize your office space. Right now, because of this new development that just happened this morning, I'm sure we will be receiving an update from our broker at Remax, and he will be going over everything and what he does and doesn't expect from us, and what we do and do not need to follow, and the guidelines that are set in place. And he's very communicative. He communicates everything clearly to us as realtors, and that makes it easy for us to know and have a direction of what we can and what we cannot do.
Right.
That's something that we are updated daily from our broker, whether it's email or a video, and we know where we can and cannot, what lines we cannot cross.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, we're progressively trying to get through this process. And I mean, as a whole, I'm glad that, that we're seeing people adapt. We're seeing people adjust to the circumstance, and hopefully that will alleviate some of the pressures and some of the concerns that people are having over purchasing a home right now. But ultimately, I mean, I think the biggest the biggest thing that we need to keep an eye on is how can we facilitate some of these transactions for our clients, and hopefully we'll be able to have some answers by Monday. Like I was saying before, the GSEs are looking at what we're doing. They're looking at what options are available as to how to improve it, and ultimately the benefits that will come from that we'll know rather shortly. So it's one of those situations. I think that we really just need to continue to adapt and mold to the circumstance. But as of right now, I mean, just like we did right now, we did a virtual tour of a home. We're going to probably continue to do that. And it looks like I'm losing some connectivity. Are you having issues seeing me right now?
No, I can see you.
All right, yeah, I just got a little alert that one of my things was telling me that I was having bad connection. But yeah, so again, we just want to make sure that we're adapting to what the circumstances as they come. I mean, they're changing per hour, per day, per every few minutes. We're getting some sort of news that's new. So we want to make sure that we're just sharing that information, making sure that we're relaying that as clearly as possible, and doing it quickly. So, I mean, just like we're doing this live here on Zoom, we'll go ahead and post the recording of this video. And unfortunately, I didn't catch the entire video. I caught when you started talking. So I apologize for that. That was my fault, but we'll definitely go over a few other topics throughout the week. I'm sure that later on this week we'll sit down and talk again, and we'll go live again, and hopefully be able to figure out how or why we're having this problem connecting. But
and the best thing to do is to just stay informed. Ask your realtor, reach out to your realtor, reach out to a lender. Just stay informed. Anybody else can the phone call. We're all still available.
Right. So, I mean, are you currently turning your clients away to look at property right now? Like not physically going to look at it, but actually just doing that right now?
No.
Are you still encouraging them to look at property online and look at the tours?
Online, yes. I'm not encouraging anybody to go outside, only because I really strongly believe to stay at home, safer at home. But we do have. They can look online. I send them properties daily in the morning and in the evening, and whatever properties are still coming up on the market. So if something comes up that fits one of my clients' needs, then I'll send it over to them. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, not everyone's doing that right now, unfortunately, but I think it's just because of what the instruction that their brokers are giving them. Well, I think it just matters.
Yeah. And it also depends on that particular individual. One of my clients is ready to go. Like, as soon as everything settles, they're ready to buy. So it just depends on your personal, like, what you have going on and what your goals are. Some people can probably step back and say, okay, let me take a step back from purchasing right now and let me focus on A, B, and C. Where some people are like, I need a home. I'm whatever your circumstances are. It just, there's different scenarios for everybody. Some people probably really need to get into a home faster than others. So with those clients, then I'm just making sure that I'm personally available to them. There are other Remax agents that are available as well. I know that there's several that are doing virtual tours and Zoom and FaceTime and things like that, and listing appointments and buying appointments through just virtually.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that you're going to be having a video more than likely coming out this week with Johnny from my team, and you guys are going to be going over this property and showcasing this property, going a little bit more in depth in regards to just kind of what this property has to boast. I think it's a beautiful home. I think you won't have a problem selling it. The price point is obviously going to eliminate some people, but I think the right individual will come.
Apartment, and that detached apartment does potentially get some rental income.
Yes, 100%.
So kind of, you do have the option of renting it out or utilizing it for long-term care. If a family member needs to stay, or for whatever reason, whatever the circumstances are, then you do have the option of having a full 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment detached.
Very true, very true. And I think that'll be huge for anyone that does purchase that, because that's going to eat away at a good chunk of your mortgage anyway. So it'll facilitate things for sure for some individuals. Like I was saying before, it's one of these things is how are we going to adapt? Hopefully we all adapt accordingly to our circumstances, and see that we really do need to push forward and try to help our community. And if we can execute that, then that's awesome. That's great for all of us as a whole. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we're being sensitive to what the circumstances outside, right? Like we don't want to just kind of look like we're money hungry individuals. It's not that. It's there's people out there that really do want to just buy their home now, that, like you said, circumstances that won't allow it. I mean, right now, yes, you can't be evicted from your home, but let's say these individuals have their lease ending in the next 2-3 months, and they need to get out, and they know that once this whole thing ends, they may not get the same opportunity again. The rates may go up, and they may not be able to buy a house. So what's going to happen in those circumstances if rates go up and now they weren't able to lock in when they could have and afforded a property that they wanted, to now they might be discouraged. So we want to make sure that we are taking care of those that are wanting to move forward now and do something.
Yeah, that are in a different scenario, in a different circumstances than others. So you still need to be available to help those that are in a predicament, like you mentioned. So I'm not shutting anybody away, definitely not. We're just trying to adapt and work around it so that the clients that do potentially buy during this period can still secure their home.
Right, yeah. And so, I mean, we'll kind of cap off this conversation with that today. I think that we'll have a lot more to talk about over the next few days. I mean, we're probably going to go live in a couple of days anyway. I think we had program Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday, right? So we'll follow up. We'll have another conversation on Wednesday. I'm going to try to go ahead and jump on with as many of my realtor partners here on Zoom over the next few days and help you guys showcase the properties that you do have. And if the MLS does get shut down, your properties have to come off market, then I have a way for you guys to be able to still showcase your properties. You guys all know this. I've been pitching this program with you guys forever. So you know that I have access to a way to share your properties. So if that's the concern, don't be concerned. We'll get you guys the necessary eyeballs on your properties. We'll get you guys, set up with the right partner, even within my team, to make sure that you guys execute that as best as possible. My team and I are going to be doing another live between us three. Three of our team members are going to be going on Zoom as well, and kind of masterminding with some of our real estate partners and seeing what we can do to continue to shed light on the situation. And heck, if we have a little bit of a discussion, then we have a discussion. It's no big deal. It's more trying to be informative, and we're trying to see other people's angles and eyesights, right? So again, I think this was a good start to what we're trying to accomplish. I think that we should be able to communicate things rather clearly as things are adapting and changing. I appreciate you taking the time to come on here. I know you had a bunch of stuff going on this morning. So, I'm in the same boat. So I was everywhere this morning. So I appreciate you jumping on. Tony and Chris, you guys being on here, I appreciate that a lot. For those that joined in, dropped out, those that watched on our Instagram live feed, I know that you guys couldn't see the video feed or anything. So I do appreciate you guys. I want to make sure that everybody does get as much information as they can get. So again, I thank everyone for being on here. And, again, Jasmine, thank you so much for giving us as much insight as you did.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right. So we'll see you. Take care.